Lucy, you got some splaining to do. Honestly, don't you think we need to have a celebration of I Love Lucy? This, after all, is its 70th anniversary. That's right, this famous and still beloved TV series premiered on CBS on October 15th, 1951. So we couldn't let this year go by without celebrating its 70th. It would be difficult to name another TV series from 1951 that is still so well known and still so popular. I don't think there's any question that it's the most popular TV series ever produced. Of course, it stars the husband and wife team of Lucille Ball and Desi Arnaz, and they, against great odds, created this series to showcase their talents. Lucille Ball, of course, was a movie star, but she was also the star of a popular and very well done series on CBS radio called My Favorite Husband. As had been done with George Burns and Gracie Allen, CBS wanted Lucy to take her radio show and make it into a TV show. She had really shown her great flair for comedy on that radio series, and it's often not mentioned in the development of her comedic persona. She, of course, had done some comedies as a movie star, but she had done all kinds of motion pictures. So she wasn't necessarily known for comedy, but her skills really shone forth on her radio series. So CBS definitely wanted her on the CBS television network. Lucy, however, wanted to change in the format. In the radio show, she was married to a banker, and she wanted that changed so she could co-star with her real-life husband, Desi Arnaz. The network was against it because they thought no one would believe them as a married couple, even though that's actually what they were. So they devised sort of a vaudeville comedy act to perform on stage to prove that they had comedy chemistry as well as believability. And of course, Lucy never had a better straight man. And in the bargain, she got an incredible producer because he knew what was best for Lucy and the show, always. Through its 9-year run, if you count the hour-long episodes, usually referred to as the Lucy Desi Comedy Hour. During its first run on network television, there was a fair amount of merchandising. There was a comic strip, there were comic books, there were coloring books. There were even furniture and apparel. And there were dolls. And dolls is what we want to talk about today because given the actually ever-increasing popularity of I Love Lucy, there has been a great deal of merchandise issued since the show had its first run. And starting in 1997, Mattel started issuing these wonderful I Love Lucy dolls as part of their Barbie Collector Dolls line. Now, Mattel has over the years issued some special Barbie-like dolls that were tie-ins with other properties, such as Gone with the Wind and The Wizard of Oz, where Barbie was Dorothy. We won't even get into what Ken was doing. But this is a Barbie doll that is not Barbie. This is Lucille Ball as Lucy Ricardo. And it's really wonderfully done. There were 21 dolls in all, if you count the dolls that were produced in the likeness of Fred, Ethel, and Ricky. But most of them were these single Lucy dolls. And for the most part, these dolls were all inspired by actual I Love Lucy episodes. But today I'd like to share with you some of these collector's dolls that are in my collection. And as you can see, this one is from the episode called Sales Resistance. Now this episode was originally broadcast on January 26, 1953. And it's a comedic look at how Lucy Ricardo just couldn't resist a sales pitch from door-to-door salesman. And she buys a handy-dandy vacuum cleaner. And one of the fun things about these dolls is they have these backgrounds. So you can see the Ricardo's New York City apartment, and you can see the handy-dandy vacuum in the background here. But this was certainly a classic Lucy costume. Here she is with her hair kind of tied back with sort of a bandana and her very famous polka dot dress. And she's wearing an apron because she's doing housework. The costumes for these dolls are incredibly well done. A lot of research went into them. Not only studying the shows, but looking into what the actual colors were, because of course I Love Lucy is in black and white, unless you count the colorized episodes. But they, of course, were originally black and white too, or you wouldn't have been able to colorize them. But anyhow, I hope you can see some of the detail here. It's really fantastic. And the episodes seem to have been selected based on several factors. One is popularity, one is how good the episode was in showing Lucy's character, but also I think they were chosen to show off the costumes. So this was a classic at-home costume for Lucy. Here, on the other hand, we have one that is kind of an outlandish costume, which Lucy, of course, was known from. This is from the episode called The Operetta. And this, of course, is the episode in which Lucy comes up with this operetta for her women's club called The Pleasant Peasant. And she plays the Queen of the Gypsies, the Gypsies. This wonderful costume is shown, and you can see that they probably chose some muted earthen colors for it because it was in black and white, but I think this really reflects what that costume must have looked like. So they really went all out to get the authenticity. And Lucy kind of has this crazy face, and her teeth are kind of blacked out, all to play that part in the operetta. This is a really beautiful one and kind of crazy and funny in the spirit of the show. And that's one I'm really glad that I have in my collection. So here's another one, and this one is from one of the most famous and popular episodes of the series. This, of course, is from Lucy Does a TV Commercial, which was originally broadcast on May 5th, 1952. And this is where Lucy gets the job as being a pitch woman for Vitamita Vegemin. You can spoon your way to health. This was based on an actual product that was meant to give you a nutritional boost, and also included, in addition to the nutrients, a great deal of alcohol. And it's interesting that on the back of the box here, it never mentions that there's alcohol in this product. It just says that it gets the best of Lucy. But it also tastes terrible, in spite of its claim that it tastes just like candy. And Lucille Ball does that great take, in fact, several of them, where she tries to taste it and pretend that she likes it, and she can't control her reaction to how awful it tastes. And then, of course, she accidentally becomes drunk on the alcohol because she has to keep doing rehearsals. And it's a live commercial. So by the time she has to do it live on Ricky's variety show, she's a mess. So it's really funny. And it's another classic outfit for Lucy, the typical, and not so typical really, housewife of the 1950s. And they really captured this great costume with all the details, the belt buckle, the sleeves, the hat. I don't know too much about fashion, but it's extremely well done, and a beautifully designed costume for Lucy that in addition to being very beautiful, it was still at the same time very typical, quote unquote, for the day. And again, the set is so great because you can see the bottles of Vitamita Vegemin, the TV camera here. And I can't really show it to you because first of all, they're so small, and they're also at the bottom of the box. But she also has a big spoon and, of course, a bottle of Vitamita Vegemin. So why don't you join the thousands of happy, peppy people and get a great big bottle of Vitamita Vegemin tomorrow? That's Vitamita Vegemin. Now this one is quite unique in that it includes not one doll, but two dolls, because Lucy is joined by her friend and sidekick, Ethel Mertz, played by the great Vivian Vance. So of course I just had to have this one. There are only a few Ethel dolls done. This is one I thought would be great to have. It's also, again, one of the most famous episodes of I Love Lucy. I think it's in the top 2, along with Vitamita Vegemin, that everybody thinks of. Job Switching was originally broadcast on September 15th, 1952, and was actually the premiere episode of the second season. And it's the episode where Lucy and Ethel set out to prove that they can get a job, and the job they get is in a chocolate factory, and supposedly they are going to wrap the chocolates as they go by on this conveyor belt, which again is this really neat set here. And they can't keep up with it, so they keep trying to eat the chocolate and do everything else. They have little chocolates and wrappers here in their hands. And again, the dolls just perfectly capture the costumes with buttons and the kind of chef hats that they wear as part of their uniform in this job. Even though these dolls perfectly capture Lucille Ball, I don't think they did a very good job in capturing Vivian Vance. But they did a great job of showing these dolls as if they have chocolate stuffed into their face. As everyone knows, Lucy and Ethel just keep popping the chocolates into their mouths to hide the fact that they're not wrapping them properly. So these are just a few from my collection, and I think Mattel did a great job of capturing the characters and converting them into sort of a Barbie doll sensibility, and also capturing the wardrobe. There's no better way to salute I Love Lucy, aside from watching the series, than kind of reveling in how great these dolls are. As part of the celebration of I Love Lucy's 70th anniversary, Mattel issued a specially designed doll on August 6th, 2021. Why August 6th? That's Lucille Ball's birthday. So thanks for being with me for this video. Please remember to like and subscribe. Please be sure to join me next time when our guests will be the Mosquitoes, the Redcoats, and Benny and the Beefeaters. They'll be here to discuss the British invasion. See you then.